What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've got a very positive video to bring to you guys, as one of our players in Patrick Williams should be returning against the Toronto Raptors. And as I did with Alex Caruso, I talked about what we missed with Alex Caruso, what he will bring to the table upon his return, and today we're going to be doing the exact same with Patrick Williams. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the current Chicago Bulls situation. Are you excited about Patrick Williams' return? Your overall thoughts and opinions on what he can bring to the table against the Toronto Raptors. So, as of that, first piece of news, ladies and gentlemen, it is expected that we will see Patrick Williams return against the Toronto Raptors. Again, we didn't know if this day would come for Patrick Williams. Many people thought he'd be out for the season earlier on when he did get injured. Many people thought it could be in the playoffs. Many people thought it could be a little bit earlier than this. But nevertheless, it's happened now, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time to get excited. This is something that's been long overdue, long in the making, and I'm very, very happy to see what he can bring to the table. Many people may have forgot about Patrick Williams, but I hope he makes a strong enough impact when he steps onto the court to show what we've been missing with him out of the lineup. That's really what I'm hoping for. But today's video is going to be talking about what I think he brings to the table for the Chicago Bulls. So, I think if you're comparing the two between Alex Caruso and Patrick Williams, I think Patrick Williams, at the end of the day, doesn't offer as much at this point in time compared to Alex Caruso, because Alex Caruso is a defensive guard, and I think that's where our main weaknesses lie with the pick and rolls and the guard defense and stuff of that nature. I think Alex Caruso would provide a little bit more than Patrick Williams, but at the end of the day, that's up to interpretation, that's up to opinion, and Patrick Williams, in my opinion, is still a very important player that we can bring to the team. Billy Donovan has said he would like to see Patrick Williams come off of the bench. So that's the first thing that we're going to be expecting to see with Patrick Williams this season. I can almost guarantee he's going to get game time against the Toronto Raptors, but he's going to be coming off of the bench for the Chicago Bulls. Many people might see this as a good thing. Again, he's missed so much time for this team that I can completely understand the decision behind putting him in the bench at this point in time. But if he's worked hard and he's earned his spot, there's, in my opinion, no reason why he shouldn't be back in the starting lineup before the playoffs. If he's outworking players like Javonte Green, if he's producing more than Javonte Green, or if it's Tristan Thompson, whoever's starting at certain points for the Chicago Bulls, then I definitely see Patrick Williams potentially being a starter over time. It might not be easy for him. Again, he's got a lot to work on. He has to adapt and adjust and kind of find his place on this team. But if he can figure all of that out relatively quickly and he's producing for the Chicago Bulls, then the starting lineup, in my opinion, is wide open for Patrick Williams, and it's up to him to reach up and grab it. What can he produce on the court, ladies and gentlemen? Well, one, I think Patrick Williams will bring a little bit more defense on the wings. Again, we see Troy Brown Jr., Derrick Jones Jr., the main wing defenders for the Chicago Bulls. You see at times, obviously, Caruso guard wing players. I think a bunch of people, even DeRozan, they guard their wing. They are guarding wings at the end of the day. I think Patrick Williams is a much better wing defender compared to some of the guards that we have on this team. And the reality is, Patrick Williams showed really good defensive prowess in his first year for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be an elite defender at this point in time. I think he's an elite defender for his age, but there's still obviously lot of work to do there. But the most important thing, he's a very much hard-working and willing defender. There are a bunch of guys on this team you could say are not willing defenders. They don't help on the defensive end as much as they should. I don't have an issue with Patrick Williams on that end, at least for this point. I think he will be able to give a lot on that defensive end. He'll be working very hard to make sure he gets some stops. One thing we've seen with Patrick Williams already over the course of last season was his ability to knock down the corner three-point shot. I believe at one stage last year, he was a 50% three-point shooter. We even saw earlier in this year, he does have the ability to knock down those open three-point shooters, the three-point shots. And having a three-point shooter out there to spread the floor, knowing that you've got DeMar DeRozan on the team, Zach LaVine on the team that likes to isolate, try to cut their man, try to cut down, trying to get players to overcommit, those corners are going to be wide open. So Javonte Green's been knocking them down recently, and I expect Patrick Williams to be able to do the same. It might not happen straight away for him because he does have that wrist injury, of course, and it might take a little bit of time for him to get that three-point shooting up to speed, but I expect him, by the time the playoffs begin, he'll be knocking down that three-point shot in no time. I really hope that's going to be the case for Patrick Williams. I obviously think he's a team player. Very, very easy thing to decipher with Patrick Williams, and he brings a lot of team play. He's not someone that's going to stand above his role, again, one of the weaknesses of Patrick Williams was his ability to be more aggressive with his shot, because he has a lot of upside and potential on the offensive end, but that aggressiveness has not always been there. But he's been a team player his whole life. He's been a team player in college. He came off the bench in college and he was willing and able to do that, even though he was probably their best player. He worked very hard in the summer league to work on his aggressiveness, but he's a team player at heart, and I think at times we desperately need a little bit more of those team players, but we also need a little bit of that aggressiveness. I guess the balance for Patrick Williams will need to be figured out. And now here's what I'm hoping out of Patrick Williams for the most part. I hope Patrick Williams understands that that second unit is up for the taking. He could be that leader on the second unit if he really wants to be, because Kobe White is going to get his shots. Alex Caruso is going to be defending. Ayo Dosunmu, when he goes back to the bench, is going to be a facilitator on the team, whatever the case may be in all these situations. But the spot for Patrick Williams to be the star off of that bench, to be the main bench guy, it's there for him, in my opinion. And if he wants to take it, if he wants to grasp that opportunity, I can perfectly see that bench position being held with Patrick Williams. Aggressiveness does come to mind as well. Again, I'd love to see Patrick Williams take some of those mid-range shots that DeMar DeRozan gets, because no one's going to be guarding him anywhere near as much as DeMar DeRozan. No one's going to double team Patrick Williams. So that shot's going to be available for him all night long. And we saw last season his ability to make it in small doses. Maybe this is the time for him to be a little bit more aggressive and being able to pursue those shots on a more regular basis, especially off of that bench where we know there's an opportunity for someone to grasp that bench and make this bench an elite bench. We have at times a great bench. Most of the time it's been underperforming this season. Let's hope Patrick Williams can be the answer when he does return for the Chicago Bulls. Something else I'd really like to see out of Patrick Williams is rebounding. The best thing about Patrick Williams returning is, again, we have another wing defender on the team. We have a defender that could guard bigger guys, which is going to be a good thing to have. He could switch as well. Very, very positive things all the way through. But his rebounding was a bit poor when he first had that preseason and his regular season starts. And again, it's been poor for a lot of these guys. It's not just Patrick Williams that I'm going to be targeting it out here, but Javonte Green hasn't always been an elite rebounder as that power forward. Neither has DeMar DeRozan. Neither has guys like Tristan Thompson off of the bench. He gets around 5. But when he's starting for the Chicago Bulls, he doesn't get that much compared to what a Vucevic gets. Vucevic is the main rebounding target. I understand that. But a little bit more help on that end, a little bit more help in maybe boxing out to make it easier for Vucevic to grab a rebound are very vital things for the Chicago Bulls. One of our weaknesses is rebounding. So Patrick Williams has the athleticism, in my opinion, that not many guys on this team have. Derrick Jones Jr. has great athleticism. I think Patrick Williams is almost there with his athleticism as well. He's a bigger body. In my opinion, he's relatively stronger than most of the guys on this team. I'd like to see him be more aggressive on the glass. We saw that in the summer league, in my opinion. Let's see if we can see it for the Chicago Bulls upon that bench. And the last thing with Patrick Williams, what I want to see is that potential fulfilled. It's going to take a long time for everything to work out for Patrick Williams. I'm not saying he has to be a superstar right away. I don't expect 30 points from Patrick Williams every night. I barely expect 10 points from Patrick Williams every night. I'd like for him to get there off of that bench, of course. But with Patrick Williams, we know that there's potential there. And unfortunately, he's had a very poor start in terms of his NBA career. I'm not saying in terms of his season last year, I thought it was great. But think of the adversities that Patrick Williams has had. I believe his first season for the Chicago Bulls, he didn't have a summer league. Most rookies have a summer league. He didn't have one. He went straight to the fire into the preseason with really little to no knowledge, really little to no training into that preseason, straight into the fire in the regular season. And he still stood up and delivered, in my opinion. He had a decent regular season last year, and we saw that the potential was there. Comes into this season, has a summer league, has a preseason. It almost feels like things are going great for Patrick Williams, and then he gets injured for most of this season. So he has a lot of adversities. He has a lot of setbacks in terms of his progression and what he could be compared to what he is now. But we still believe in Patrick Williams. I believe in Patrick Williams. I'm sure many of you guys believe in Patrick Williams. It's time for him to prove what he can do on this team. That's what I really want to see. I want to see him live up to that potential. I want to see him show those glimpses of how great of a player he can be. And I just want him to execute when his name is called upon. Because that is the Patrick Williams that we'll see this season. Then I think we're going to go a long way in terms of finally changing our fortunes with this team. Out of all the guys that have been injured and coming back, in my opinion, Patrick Williams has the most upside. He has Lonzo Ball is a fantastic player as well, and he has very good upside. He could potentially be an all-star on this team one day. Patrick Williams, in my opinion, has the ability to be the best player on this team if everything goes right, and we have the structure, we have the development, and obviously he lives up to his potential. He could be the best player on this team one day. So let's just hope. Obviously, it's not going to be an easy, and maybe, again, very risky game with development. You're not always going to get superstars. That's just the way that it is. Sometimes you select hidden gems, sometimes you select the most obvious player, and sometimes they just don't work out for you. So maybe that's the case with Patrick Williams, but we won't know that for another 3-4 years now, won't we? So with Patrick Williams, nice progression. Come into this team, work your ass off of the bench, deliver on what you can do, score, or do whatever it takes when your name is called upon. And let's just see if our fortunes change when Patrick Williams returns. Another body into the mix, another player that has great potential, another player that is very young, vibrant, wants to learn, and also another player that, in my opinion, can improve our defensive end. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please like and subscribe if you're new. This is what I see with Patrick Williams, and this is what I hope will happen. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in another game reaction against the Toronto Raptors. A must-win game, in my opinion, and let's hope we have that energy. One thing I will say, if the Chicago Bulls comes out lazy upon Patrick Williams' return, I will be questioning the mentality of this team to the moon and back. There is no way that a player that has been out all season returns in this game and the Bulls do not play at their best. No chance am I letting the Bulls get away with that if that happens. If they play lazy, if they give up halfway through the game, if they have a terrible quarter that leads to Toronto coming back, then I'm going to be on this team. Because when Patrick Williams returns, that's a guy that's been out all season. Someone that's had his season taken away from him by a really bad foul, a harsh foul. Not as bad as Grayson Allen, but it's still a very hard foul nonetheless. He returns, this team needs that extra energy, needs that spark plug, needs to get lifted up to another level. We cannot see this team be lazy against the Toronto Raptors. And if that happens, then I will make sure to make my voice known in the next game reaction. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's what I'm going to be saying. I'm giving you a spoiler if we lose that game. Even if we don't lose that game, if we lose the game and we compete, fair enough. But if we're lazy and we see a really poor quarter, I'll make sure that I speak what I have to say, because I don't see that as acceptable for the Chicago Bulls. Take care.